Greetings travelers, I'm Gav. Welcome to build diary number 2 on my channel. I'm still covering the Poison Bomber Marksman. I just wanted to give a brief overview of my thoughts and feelings on the build so far, but I won't go into too much detail on how to play it here, as I want to make a full build guide video here soon. Stay tuned for that on my channel very soon. But overall, the build feels fantastic. It's possibly the tankiest I've ever felt on the several marksman builds that I've tried so far. Right now I'm sitting at just above 300 corruption and farming there for now. I need a lot more HP for survivability at this point and to scale corruption further, so I'm just kind of chilling at 300 and farming right now. To scale my damage further, I need more poison resistance, and that's to scale the penetration of Acid Flask here with this node, the knowledge of immunity. So that will be extremely beneficial once we can achieve that. That'll be done through idols mostly, which I don't have any of the ones that I want yet, so that'll be huge once we can actually get those. I also found out that my rule of ABC, always be casting, is 100% valid here too. This is a method that I used in World of Warcraft to avoid wasting a single global cooldown during my rotation. This allowed for maximum damage output on the boss during raid encounters, while losing little to no uptime. That's just that parse life that I used to live in my mythic raiding days. But getting back to how that applies here, if you aren't throwing traps, you need to be casting shurikens. This will allow you to regain mana and continuously ensure that you have this blade shield up here. Again, if you're not casting explosive traps, definitely be casting shurikens. Our explosive traps are triggering both Acid Flask and Detonating Arrow, so that's costing a ton of mana, as we discussed in build diary number 1. So to fix that, we're casting shurikens. So this is a 2-button build. The casting of shurikens in between you throwing your traps is pretty much mandatory. If you're not doing that, you're just going to be all the time and it'll feel terrible. So there may be another skill that you can supplement shurikens for and go bow on your explosive traps. Blast Rain. I haven't tested any of this quite yet, and that's mostly again because of Liraka's Claws, which benefits both our shurikens and all of our thrown abilities. So I've just kept Explosive Trap as a thrown ability. But yes, just ensure that you are always casting shurikens literally as much as you can without potentially animation locking yourself and dying because you're standing in a mechanic. This is a very active playstyle and a very active build, so if you're not continuously on the move or casting, then it's probably not being optimized, and it may not be the playstyle for you if that's not something that you really want. And I completely understand that. It does get a bit tedious to keep up with, but I personally like high APM builds. That's just something that I've always enjoyed, playing that piano on the keys. But anyway, through my gameplay this past week, I have also found that this interaction is more powerful than I originally even thought. But the tech is basically that you don't need to hit the enemy with your zero-cost skill. If you actually read both Sapping Strikes and Mana Warp, they both say that you only need to cast the zero-cost skill and hit an enemy. It doesn't say that you need to hit the enemy with that zero-cost skill. So the interesting part is that it works simply by just casting it while my explosive traps are arming and exploding, and you can continuously just regenerate your mana that way. As long as you're casting shurikens in between your explosive traps, both arming and detonating, and therefore using all of your mana, you'll be regenerating that mana relatively quickly. So just always be casting shurikens, always have it up. If you're in melee, then it becomes much easier. You know, you're just able to rotate around the enemy, which you'll see me do quite often with bosses, and continuously get that mana back reliably through shurikens, not relying on your explosive trap triggers to hit the enemy. So that's a very cool thing that I found. You don't need to be in range to actually get mana back. You just need to be hitting them through some means. So your traps need to be triggering through some means, and you can literally be at range just casting shurikens here to maintain your blade shield and allowing all of these explosive traps to blow up while you're just spamming shurikens over here off in La La Land. Completely safe. So I found that kiting enemies in monoliths is a lot easier than I originally thought that it would be. You do get a lot less mana application, or poison application, as you can see. Because shurikens themselves do apply quite a lot of poisons if you're just continually casting them in their face. So As you can see, I'm able to peak at 200 there, and on bosses generally, I don't know why I'm not getting much more here. Maybe it's the small hitbox of the dummies, but on bosses, generally I'm able to get up to 500, 700, if not more, poisons on them, so they're ticking for a lot. So the reason that this works, and kind of the cool thing behind it, is that there's a 0.4 second arming time for the traps of explosive trap, and in between that you simply cast shurikens at 0 cost, and by the time you've cast shurikens, your explosive traps are detonating, triggering your acid flask, your detonating arrow, and you're benefiting from having cast that 0 cost skill, and then hitting the enemies with your detonations and explosives and things like that. Hence the name Poison Bomber. That's what I finally landed on, was Poison Bomber. So this is a really cool build, really cool interactions going on here. I feel that it's 100% unique. Obviously it is a little bit derivative of the current marksman meta of using detonating arrow with gel cores, but I wanted to take it in a completely different direction and use a bow, and figured out this cool interaction with shurikens and mana regeneration for marksman. So let me know what you all think about the build. I will have a build guide out on my channel as soon as I can. I'm currently working on getting the forum guide updated that I'm writing up. Old school forum guides, baby. And then I will also have LE Tools updated as well with the build. And by that time, I should be releasing my build guide video for the Poison Bomber Marksman. So that'll teach you guys how to fully get it up and running. Hopefully I'll have some leveling planned out a little bit for you all. And then it's on to the next project. I'm 99 going on 100 with this build, so I've played it quite a lot at this point, and I'm ready for a change, ready for a new build, and ready for some more cool interactions and finding new things. So on to the next after this, travelers. But I hope you all enjoyed this second build diary. It has a lot more gameplay footage as well at the beginning, but hopefully this one was a bit better, a bit more insightful on the build and some things that I found over the past week. And I'll see you all in my build guide video. Farewell, travelers.